Welcome viewers to Historical Journeys. However, you probably won't understand it. The ground underneath your feet could be covered with verifiable wealth ready to be rediscovered. For one gathering of London city laborers finding lost and covered relics of the past underneath occupied city roads was all important for the gig. However, after another venture drove them to dig close by quite possibly of history's most celebrated waterway, the specialists coincidentally found an old mystery that left them in wonder. They'd seen nothing like it. Laborers find old fortune that could change England's past. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It only takes a second, and you won't miss any of our future videos. Let's get started. For quite a long time, the stream Thames plays had an unmistakable impact in English life. Those that previously settled next to the stream involved it as a wellspring of food and transportation, and later the Thames was held as an unmistakable installation in ancestral religion. Waterways were much of the time considered hallowed in the beginning of man, and the Thames was no special case. On the other hand, named the Isis after the Egyptian goddess of parenthood and well-being, the Thames routinely attracted admirers hoping to honor the divine forces of its shores. During the Bronze Age, admirers frequently threw resources into the Thames to mollify the divinities. They were petitioning weapons, adornments, and cash were undeniably projected into the waterway to bring favorable luck upon their clans. As civilization progressed, so did the Thames his part in the public eye. The stream filled in as a stream for exchange and investigation, an asset for industry, and surprisingly, a relaxation spot for boaters and swimmers. Yet, as the modern age arrived at its top in the mid-19th 100 years, the Thames turned into an unloading ground for synthetic overflow, trash, and, surprisingly, human waste. Yet where most saw a filthy, junk-tossed stream, others saw an open door. Little fellows known as mud songbirds started rummaging the shores looking for things to sell, which were normally things like disposed of flatware or old earthenware. However, occasionally, relics of the Bronze Age would turn up in the sloppy waters and bring these young men a decent compensation day. The Thames has since been gotten free from this contamination, and most present-day mud warblers accept that the Bronze Age relics that once washed shorewards were last time. In any case, in late 2019, one revelation flipped this hypothesis totally on its head. Then, at that point, groundwork for another quarry project. A gathering of city laborers were dispatched to the London ward of Havering to get the region free from any important relics. This was just convention, in any case, as the city was persuaded the laborers would leave away with nothing. However, when their digging tools hit soil, the specialists struck gold, or rather bronze. The removal had uncovered 4 separate stores of Bronze Age relics, every one more amazing than the following. Altogether, the specialists pulled 453 individual relics from the reserve, including blades, tomahawks, stickheads, and knives. Non-weapons like armbands, carpentry apparatuses, and metal ingots were additionally recuperated. It's amazingly uncommon to have uncovered 4 separate crowds of such size on one site, said Roy Stevenson of the Historical Centre of London, as most enormous stores are many times found in segregation as opposed to in gatherings. This disclosure is critical because of the purposeful arrangement of each store. Stevenson proceeded and brings up issues regarding the reason why this fortune was covered along these lines, and why it was rarely recuperated. A few hypotheses were advanced about the beginnings of the Havering crowd, which was dated between 900 and 100 BCE. One specialist said that the products were covered there as a contribution. Much similarly, they were once thrown into the waters of the Thames. The tomahawks were followed back to Central Area Europe, meaning whoever kept them had essentially had contact with clans a huge span away. Our site is definitely not a little secluded site. Make sense of some more. That is important for a greater European association with a ton of exchange, a ton of development, a ton of correspondence of thoughts, and furthermore of merchandise too. After every one of the things were listed, the Havering crowd formally got started as the biggest at any point tracked down in London and the third biggest in the unified realm. The Staffordshire crowd does found in 2009 and containing north of 3,500 relics remains England's most huge find. Today, the Havering crowd can be tracked down in plain view at the Havering Gallery in Romford, Britain. This track down made archaeologists anxious to look for comparative gold mines, and some showed up in the most far-fetched of spots like one monitor's home. Luke, or when a renowned floor covering and carpet fashioner had no clue his Wiltshire, Britain home was concealing a basic verifiable curio. There had been no proof of anything old until laborers were searching for electrical wiring on his property. Luke was sitting inside his home when he heard a specialist yell, apparently in shock. The carpet originator ran outside to see what the uproar was about, just to be met with a laborer holding a pickaxe in the air and looking inquisitively into an opening in the ground in February 2015, while laying power links so my youngsters could play ping pong in an old outbuilding. We struck a cruel surface the planner made sense of. Fortunately, laborers saw a splendid tomes looking out of the ground not long prior to breaking anything. It was with a pickaxe. Upon additional examination, it was a tiled mosaic posting dazzling blues, oranges, and creams, while every other person scratched their heads. The weird find had Luke thinking about one more peculiarity on his property. There was a peculiar box situated close to his property's fundamental house, which his project worker got some information about. Nobody knew how long it had been there, so the creator did respect it from the outset. However, in the wake of finding the mosaic, this property was unique. Specialists took a gander at the mosaic 18 inches underground and closed it was a Roman mosaic floor from roughly the 4th 100 years, protected for quite a long time by the Chale English open country. As he learned more subtleties, Luke turned out to be considerably more skeptical. The Roman mosaic was once in a lavish domain, the Deverell estate, which existed from 175 to 220. Promotion, it truly demonstrates all domains stand and fall. Luke said the old site was definitely further developed than specialists anticipated. There was running water and intensity in this estate. Luke clarified for engineering condensation that hadn't existed in the 1600 years from that point forward. With answers gradually streaming in here, he visited the odd box on his property. Furthermore, here's an enlivened floor from the 4th 100 years. The end I came to is that you can't spit in that frame of mind of the divine beings when such a gift is given to you. Luke made sense of the energy assuming control over him with the tesserae, otherwise known as the minuscule square tiles from the mosaic, as his dream. Luke set off to plan an assortment of mats that both perceived the Roman floor's memorable example and radiated 21st century tastes. How I needed to manage every one of the carpets was to make things that individuals would check out and see the narrative of how they were made without it being fastidious or exaggerated, Luke said, and he had an arrangement to do exactly that. He chose to isolate the assortment into two unmistakable classes, cadence and stream. One is more mathematical, and one is more dynamic. Luke made sense of his inventive choices. The geometrics are more inseparable from the old-fashioned asphalt. What you're attempting to do is show that motivation comes from various spots. He proceeded, he would just not like to make a pastiche of Roman mosaics that sounds modest and predictable, really. Nonetheless, the Deverell mat in his mosaic assortment for ABC Home, which is made of silk, is near a careful copy of the covered floor as to permit the world to encounter the magnificence Luke was sufficiently fortunate to find face to face. Aside from that one carpet, the remainder of the assortment just considers the Roman deck to be an imaginative beginning stage. We are not the English gallery shop. We would rather not repeat. We need to make something new. Luke made sense of, and the assortment didn't adhere to only one style. Luke's previous assortments have flaunted elaborate, exquisite plans fit for both striking ranch-style homes and mosques. However, this assortment intended to address more unobtrusive floors. So the thing you're adjusting are conceptual plans and the mathematical, which goes in contemporary spaces and work in additional conventional conditions. Luke definite. And however the plans give recognition to old Roman mosaic tiling, the formation of the carpets depends on Indian meshing with silk and fleece mixes into drawn-out washing process, which all add to the floor covering's old-fashioned appearance. Luke calls his weaver's strategies virtuoso. Part of the experience of this is that I sorted out that the Romans really came to India, and there is an exchange history between the Romans and the Indians Luke unveiled today. The world keeps on connecting with Roman history in great ways. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated with our latest videos, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that red button below and become a part of our channel family.